It's one of the churches that came out of the Reformation that was located in England. The Church of England actually claims to predate the Reformation. It's the church that's been in England. And like a lot of the churches in Europe that went through the Reformation, they saw it as a correction. They weren't trying to replace Catholic Christianity. They were trying to reform it. And probably the Church of England has retained more Catholic forms than a lot of the other Reformed churches, so the liturgies often look very similar to Catholic churches, but the theology is very much Reformed theology in the sense, not in the sense of Calvinism, but in the sense of strong emphasis on justification by faith and the need for an ongoing work of grace in sanctification, so things like that. Well, Anglican churches can be quite diverse. Historically, we've often described them in terms of churchmanship, in terms of how they do worship, because we are worshiping communities first and foremost, and some are called high church, and those are the ones that tend to be more Catholic in their forms. Robe choirs, Eucharist every Sunday, sometimes incense and bells, depending. Then you have low church, which tend to be, the pastors will often dress like this with no collar, hardly ever, if ever. The liturgy's kind of pared down, emphasis on preaching. And then you have everything in the middle, that tries to incorporate all three. Then in the 70s, the charismatic revival kind of had an impact in Anglicanism, and now you kind of have this kind of new stream of Anglicanism, charismatic Anglicanism, which can take any form of churchmanship, high and low, but there's an emphasis on the person and work of the Holy Spirit. Truro kind of is a combination of all of them. We do Eucharist every Sunday. We have robes. People wear robes. If you're coming in from outside, you might, just by looking at it, think it's a Catholic service. Things that set it off, though, was very much biblical preaching, often preaching through books of the Bible. We have healing prayer after the end of every Eucharist, so we'll have healing prayer stations, and people will be prayed for. Sometimes they will fall over. That'll always be a clue that we're a little more Pentecostal than a lot of Anglican churches, but we do have a rule of thumb: no courtesy drops. You don't have to fall down, but that does happen. So we have what we call three streams. We have Catholic, charismatic, and evangelical streams of Christianity running through Anglicanism and running through Truro in particular. And that would be kind of unique. Not many churches try to hold all that together. They may not even see a need to hold all that together, but we do. Well, I think all of it. I think the Lord uses all aspects to draw people depending on how He's wired them. We have some people that are really drawn to the liturgy because it's, the liturgy recruits the imagination, it recruits the body. They're not coming to listen to a 40-minute lecture, so they're actually wanting to be caught up in something. So some people are drawn to that, and some are drawn to the biblical teaching, and some are, we're a very lively congregation. We love to sing, love to praise, and people are drawn to that. And I think some people are just frankly drawn to the combination. Now the truth is we don't have a lot of unbelievers that just walk into Truro cold, but we do a thing called the Alpha Course, which is our kind of catechism, our way of bringing people to faith. And we usually have over 100 people on those courses, a few times a year. And so that's where the evangelism happens. That's where people are being introduced to our church. But I would say the folks that come to Truro, once they decide they want to become a follower of Jesus, if they develop a love for the whole church, they tend to stay with us. If they don't, they tend to go someplace else, because Truro is an unusual congregation, as I just described. It really is kind of the whole church and minuscule. And some people love that. Some people, it's too much.
Right.
We have people that come. They invite friends. We often we do testimonies every quarter of people who've come to faith out of Alpha, and we often have friends. We'll bring people will, recent converts will bring friends to church to hear their testimony, and we encourage that. And so sometimes that's some of our folks, that's their first exposure to church, or Truro in particular. And then they realize I need to learn more about Christianity, so they'll do the Alpha course. So they come in all different ways into the church. But Alpha is the way that we intentionally practice hospitality with unbelievers. So our focus is on them and creating an environment that is safe, that's welcoming, that encourages them to ask the questions that have been bothering them. Oh yeah, we have lots of different groups. I would say that the Alpha is kind of like our class meeting. It is our place where we gather people who are inquiring, who are seeking. And those courses last 10 weeks, but since we're doing them on a rotating basis, people can do it again if they feel the need to do it again. They often come on as a helper on the next course, so help, serve meals or whatever, and still have an opportunity to be exposed to the experience, to the teaching. So that is our primary fellowship group for a person who's inquiring. And then we have other kinds of fellowship groups for people that have come to faith in various stages of development and growth. And, we have a strong laity at Truro, and, that they start stuff on their own, and I sometimes find out about it 3 years later,